I'm really looking forward to my 7:35 interview, where I'm going to be speaking to what is the guest, if I may, Sam. What is her official title?
So Jayla Thomas is the commissioner of the Metropolitan Nashville Housing Trust Fund Commission.
Okay, so there's no way I could have pulled that off. But anyway, she is my interview, and there's this whole move in Nashville, the Metro Council, to bring in smart stairs or single stair buildings into the city of Nashville. They voted on this idea to bring in more affordable homes. A lot of people are saying, though, that these smart stair buildings are not very smart. So we're going to talk about that coming up at 7:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I don't know if you folks saw this over the weekend. News Nation did a big story on Nashville.
Nashville, Tennessee, known as Music City, USA. But the country music capital is getting a reputation for something sinister.
It was a really interesting piece on roofing. So, Joan, did you know that we do? I mean, I've been talking about it for years off and on, but, you know, the city of Nashville does have a big problem with roofing. And no, I'm not talking about, you know, like homes. I'm talking about, you know, people throwing, you know, little pills or whatever in somebody's drink and drugging them. It's like the date rape drug, right?
Yeah, I read the story a lot about downtown Nashville.
Yeah, basically somebody goes into a bar and somebody slips drugs into your drink. And it can be like liquid ecstasy. It can be ketamine, other drugs that will completely disorient you. It'll like knock you unconscious. You may act violent, clearly not yourself. And so News Nation, they profiled the couple named Caitlin and Kyle Alexander. They were interviewed, and it was Kyle, the guy, who was roofied.
Oh, no way.
I describe it as the lights were on and nobody was home. Like, I was talking to him, but he was not there.
They were out celebrating Kyle's birthday when, after just 2 drinks, Kyle lost control, leaving the bar, acting violent, walking in front of cars, and not making any sense. It got even worse when they got back to their hotel.
I opened the bathroom door. It's complete pitch black in there, and he's pounding his head against the shower. And I grab him, I put my hand behind his head, and I'm like, get out now. What are you doing? Calm down. I had like stuck my hand down his throat to see if he would throw up, and like he didn't even react.
So yeah, wow. Kyle gets roofied. He's completely out of character. And I guess, and I've never been roofied, but you know, you can't really tell when you get roofied at first, from what I understand. The drugs are colorless and odorless. And somebody just slips these drugs into your drink. Now, sexual assaults are up in Nashville, something like 20% in 2024. So they believe that the use of these date rape drugs has been rising over the years, and that correlates with the sexual assaults.
And we've heard a lot of people say that they've been roofied.
Lorraine McGuire is vice president of Nashville's Sexual Assault Center. Caitlin and Kyle's story is all too familiar to her.
Is it hard to quantify how often this is happening?
It's almost impossible.
I mean, so there's a number of reasons why. And by the way, if I opened up the phone lines right now, because I've done this before, and just asked people, when I was in middays, tell me your stories of being, you know, roofied in Nashville. I did that years ago. I mean, the phones just exploded because this is happening to both, you know, men and women, and it's happening more and more often. And so what happens is the drugs pass through your system, I guess, very quickly. So you get roofied, and then you black out or you fall asleep. And by the time you get to the hospital, it's actually almost out of your system. So it's very hard, they say, for them to be able to track, you know, what was in your system or who put it in your system. And this is part of the insanity of this story. The hospitals, at least some, won't even test you if you have not been sexually assaulted or if there's no police report.
What?
Yeah. They won't even test you. Listen to this.
When victims show up to the hospital, they're sometimes turned away and told without a police report or evidence of sexual assault, the testing won't be done.
Did you feel like anyone took you seriously when you came forward?
No.
I mean, that's sad. Sad but true. Now, remember when Riley Strain, were you here during that whole Riley Strain thing, Joan? Riley Strain, where he was from, I forget where he was from.
Yeah.
But he came to Nashville.
Yes.
And they thought that he was roofied. He ended up, just they had cameras of him. He was in a bar, and then he left the bar. His friends were in the bar. Nobody noticed he was gone, and he disappeared. But they had video of him just sort of staggering all over the city.
Yeah.
And everybody thought that maybe he was roofied. It turned out he wasn't. But he ended up, of course, as everyone knows, in the river, and he had died. And so that was the big topic of conversation was, well, maybe he was roofied. Now, there's a ton of videos. I don't know if you've seen this. There's a ton of videos on TikTok and other apps about people talking about getting roofied.
What is going on in Nashville? I'm not going to say it's the bartenders. I don't know.
I walked into all those bars. They all knew that drink spiking's going on. They acknowledged it.
Nashville used to be safe, but it's not anymore. It's not.
So
Wow.
Really interesting. And so now part of the question is, what are the bars doing to stop this roofing? And also, could Nashville actually lose our, and I'm air quoting here, our it city status? Joan, do you go into Nashville often?
No, I can't say that I go downtown or anything very often. No, I'm not a bar person.
Right. Yeah, no, neither am I. But somebody that I know was actually roofied. Somebody very close to me was roofied, and she ended up waking up on the bathroom floor in the bar.
Whoa!
Her friends had to literally take her over to the car. She had no idea what happened.
Do you know that there are things that women especially, can take with them to the bar? There's a test kit.
Yep.
They're like strips that will turn different colors. You stick the strip in your drink, and if it turns a different color, your drink's been roofied.
Well, it's kind of like a pregnancy test. Kind of what you do is if it. So yeah, and actually, Joan, some of the bars are now providing those themselves.
That's what they should be doing. Absolutely.
Some bars are being proactive. They have little pieces they're like drink coasters, if you will.
Yes, they call them nightcaps. You can stretch it over the top of a drink.
Okay. And you can, basically, as you just said, what you can do, you can drip a little of your drink onto it to see if it has been tampered with. Bars, by the way, are also training bartenders to try and prevent it from happening, people being roofied. These days, they say the Sexual Assault Center, which is a place here in Nashville, has something called a Safe Bar program where they partner with the Metro Nashville Police Department to train those that work in the bars to help protect their customers. Now, in reading all about it, one of the things that I was a little disappointed in, actually, was that when the Sexual Assault Center first came out, there were a lot of bars, who cares? It was like they didn't think that it was a big deal. And so finally now, it made news that a lot of these bars did not seem interested early on, but now they are slowly but surely beginning to come around. And so right now, because these bars then get certifications where, your bartenders get trained in how to prevent it, how to maybe notice the signs. They've got the little pieces of paper, whatever it is, that you can test your drink on. And so more of the bars are now taking part in the Safe Bar program. That's good because, as a local, I like going downtown. I like going to Dierks Bentley's, and I like going to Old Red. I like going to all those places. So right now, those certified bars include Garth Brooks Bar, Friends in Low Places, of course, Whiskey by the Saloons, Teddy's Tavern, Lucky Duck Lounge, and Fat Bottomed Brewing, to name just a few. If you want to know more about the Safe Bar programs and what bars are utilizing this program to keep you safe, check them out online. It is safebarapp.org. That is safebarapp.org. I thought that was interesting. And you hear all of these women. And when I was doing this story this morning, putting it all together, I had no idea there were all these stories. I knew that it was going on, Joan, but I didn't realize that there were so many young women on TikTok talking about what they experienced in Nashville. It's horrifying.
It is. It really is. I feel like women can't be, and it's not just women, obviously, but you can't just be safe going out and having a good time.
No, you can't. You can't. It is very sad.
They're also, I mean, it's kind of replaced the trend of, everyone's Airbnb being broken into. That was a thing for a while in the start of the 2020 decade. But, they're doing it to guys to rob them. That's the crazy part, is guys are being drugged to have their phones and wallets stolen.
Didn't Cardi B do something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Remember Cardi B bragged about it, where she would she roofie her customers when she was a stripper, and she would rob them, and she was proud of it. If I'm not mistaken,
insane.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, Rocco says, "Hear me out. Don't leave your drink sitting around. I would equate this to leaving your house or car unlocked at night and seeing a spike in home invasions or car burglary." Well, that's not really fair, because sometimes bartenders do it. And sometimes, I don't know. I've never even thought about roofing anybody. But, yeah, that's obvious. Make sure your drink is safe. But, again, sometimes bartenders do it. So I don't know the best way to prevent it, other than, yes, Rocco is right. Watch your drinks. But that's not necessarily fail-safe. And I don't know why a bartender would do that. But, I'm sure that's happened too. Yeah, people are lighting up the phone lines. Kay says drinks with lids would help. Sure.
Yes, of course.
Steve says, devil's advocate, why is it the bar's responsibility? Well, Steve. I would say this, if it's the bartender, it is the bar's responsibility. That being said, whether or not it is the bar's responsibility, what I would say is the bar can try to solve the problem. That's what I would say to that statement from Steve. The bar can try to solve the problem. And some of these bars are, and some of them, I guess, are still choosing not to participate in that Safe Bars program.
Cops could also do a little bit better job. I went to a Predators game with my niece and saw a girl skiing, as the kids would say, on the sidewalk right in front of a cop, and he didn't do anything to stop her.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I thought her nose ditched for a second, and then it wasn't a donut after all.
Yeah. Let's see here. Everybody's saying just request a lid and a straw. I guess that works, too. Get a lid and a straw. That would work, too. So I guess if you are in a bar and you're a man or a woman and somebody is talking to you, you've got to make sure that they don't somehow sneak around and put a little pill in your drink. Because then what happens is if you leave, they could follow you and they could drug you and throw you in the car. And, obviously, very bad things would happen. So, anyway, if you want to check out that story and you want to check out that website, you can. I think that it is a great thing what this Safe Bars program is. And, again, it is safebarapp.org. And I want to welcome on into the program Jayla Thomas, Commissioner of Metro Nashville Housing Trust Fund. Jayla, thank you very much for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News. I want to talk about the Smart Stair law. A lot of people are saying that it's not so smart to do this. Metro decided that it was a good idea. One of the things that they want to do, the Smart Stair law, is basically what it is in new construction, they want to have, instead of 2 staircases, they only want to do 1 staircase. Now, talk about why that is significant. Talk about why it is that Metro Nashville wants to do that. And do you agree with that mission?
So I believe the Smart Stair law is a fancy way of saying cutting corners.
Okay.
Right? They allow developers to build taller apartment buildings, with only 1 staircase instead of 2. I think it's pushing under the banner of affordability, but there's no real affordability there for the actual homeowners or renters. And I believe it's just going to really make it easier and cheaper to cram more renters into the buildings at the expense of safety and long-term quality, in my personal opinion.
Okay, so walk me through this, because most buildings do have at least 2 flights of stairs. Under this concept, there will be only 1 flight of stairs, kind of like in the middle. And it's required now, I guess, for buildings 6 stories and under. They're allowing this to happen. I want to get a little technical with this, though. The current law in Nashville is only buildings with 3 stories or fewer can have 1 staircase. Metro Nashville has now passed a bill that makes it 6 stories or fewer can have that single staircase. So one of the things as you look at this is it seems like that would be a fire hazard.
Oh, absolutely. Two staircases is standard for a reason, and I believe it's a good reason. Like what if there's a fire? What if there's a blockade in the exit, right? I feel like if there's children or anybody with mobility issues, I think that that's definitely a fire hazard that we're overlooking.
One of the things that I notice is that this is this is a European concept. But they also do this in such great municipalities as Seattle and the city of New York. So is the Metro Nashville Council, are they trying to make us more like those cities? Because to me, that's not necessarily something that we should be striving for.
I totally agree. I went to college in New York. I've seen the hazards of New York, and they always call it Nash York or Nash Vegas. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. These are the 2 places I do not hope Nashville gets to. And I think that they're trying to be something that they're not. They're trying to make Nashville into something that they're not and hide behind things like affordability when they're really just trying to convert our society into a different kind of society.
So, and they also, by the way, do this in Memphis, which is definitely a city that we don't want to be like. Now, the people on Metro City Council, they swear that this is going to fix our housing crisis, going to make homes and apartments and so forth more affordable. But I was talking to some folks over the weekend about this whole thing, and they think that it is not going to make it more affordable. They think that really what's going to happen is the developers and the builders, what they'll do is they'll just pocket the money, and the affordability crisis will continue. They're not going to be cheaper. They're just going to be the same as all the others.
I totally agree with that. Nashville Next, which is just Metro Planning Commission, right? They came and they spoke to us about these things, and we were asking questions about affordability. It's not going to be more affordable. And what developer, isn't going to just pocket the money? I totally agree with what you're saying, because in all reality, it might make it cheaper for the developers, right? But it's definitely not going to make it cheaper for renters. Developers aren't nonprofits, and they'll just pocket the savings. And they even admitted that this is going to start at market rates. And I dare to say it's going to be luxury rates, because even the new developments that happen, when I first moved here, I moved to the North Gulch area, and they're not thinking about, sustainability. They're just thinking about putting all these people in one place. And like I said, a 6-story walk up is not going to even adhere to what they're trying to say. Nashville Next is about creating the character for Nashville and keeping even the nations in a sort of, typical family-esque, fashion. But it's going to change the whole outlook of the nations and Nashville.
Jayla Thomas, Commissioner of Metro Nashville Housing Trust Fund. So you are against this, but the Metro Nashville Council, they've actually voted this in. So what about, I got 2 questions. Number one, what about the older buildings? Like, are they going to, I don't know how you retrofit those if you can, but this is for new construction?
So I believe that they're going to tear down the older buildings. Honestly, this is going to make way for more development. I really believe that it's going to impact single family homes. And even on the commission, I'm someone who fights for home ownership, even in regards to affordability. And if we only push and put money toward rentals and these new co-op options, people will be priced out of their neighborhoods. It's definitely going to have an impact on home ownership, because if you can change the zoning from one single family or duplex to a RM40, which is you can put 40 units on 1 acre or 40 units per acre, I think that that's totally going to change the whole outlook, and it's pushing for gentrification. We're pushing families out. We can't hide behind affordability. It won't be affordable. It's going to be luxury apartments and high cost homes.
See, that's what a lot of people are saying. Is that okay? So you're going to build these brand new apartment buildings, but you're telling us they're going to be more affordable when in reality, I mean, personally, I don't believe that they will. We have not seen that in other cities that have tried to do this. And again, not to belabor the point, but the other cities that have tried this, they're all hellholes, and we don't want to be those cities. And so I guess the question is now, here we are, and the Metro Council, they have passed this. So what is the next step? Is there a way to block it? Can the state actually reach in or step in and do something to stop this, if they were so inclined?
So I think the state, if Metro oversteps, I believe the state should step in and address certain issues, right? I also do believe that, there's a vote for the nations tomorrow, right? And I believe people should get out and they should talk to the council people and ask their questions. Well, even make their statements, right? You only get 2 minutes to speak, but you should show people that this is the largest scale of rezoning, and it's really going against the desires of the people, right? The people in the nations don't want this. Developers want this, right? They're trying to push to make our society more, and they hide behind terms like walkability and, they're acting like they're going to put more shops and all these different things. But they're really pushing for transit issues and all these kind of things like bikes. I'm a mother of 2 toddlers. I don't want to be on transit with or do family bike mopeds to go to the grocery store, right?
Right.
And we can hide and we can pretend like we're not pushing families out, but this is pushing families out of their homes, long-standing homeowners out of their neighborhoods. This is literally just trying to create a dystopian future, if you will, and it's unrealistic. We're not against progress. We're not against, changing. But if you change it at the detriment of the community, I think that is a big issue.
Well, yeah, they're going to start kicking people out of their homes and say we're going to tear this building down, and we're going to put up a new one with only one staircase so that it's more affordable than the 2, and they have more flexibility in construction and all that. Well, that's all fine, but if it's going to be, as you say, and a lot of people suspect, it's going to be either more expensive or just as expensive, then that's going to be a big issue. And here's the other thing that I was reading in all of this. How can a building be ADA compliant with only a single staircase?
Yeah, and I totally agree with this. Like, it's definitely a major concern. With one stairwell, I don't know how you would evacuate, especially someone in a wheelchair, right? Like I told you, I was in the North Gulch, right? This is a luxury apartment, right, where rents are 2 bedrooms are going for like $3,500. And this is a nice place. Both of the handicap accessible units were on the 7th floor. Okay, so this was the floor I was on. It was the top floor of the building. And I was 5 months pregnant at the time. We go to the elevator because there was a fire alarm or whatever. And it's me and this guy, and I'm over here because he's my friend. I'm like, okay, how are you going to get down? And I'm worried about him getting down the stairs because, elevators don't work when there's a fire.
Yep.
So I'm over here thinking, how am I going to get sheets to pull him down? And there was no plan in place for the 2 people who had wheelchairs on the 7th floor. And you would think that they would think about these things before there's an issue and not after,
Yeah, it is insanity. And I don't know, it feels like there may or may not be a lot that we can do about this at this point. And knowing the very leftist bent of the Metro Nashville Council, it seems like this was a fait accompli. Was there ever any real debate on this, or did they just, go ahead and do this because that's what they wanted to do?
Okay, so when it comes to the Housing Trust Fund Commission, right, we staff makes the majority of the decisions and then we vote on them. This wasn't something that I was a part of. I don't even know if this was voted on in previous sectors because I am a newer member to the commission as of November of last year. So we're mostly focused on, getting affordability out and, getting people housed that are not housed. But this was never brought up or told to the commission as of the time I was in there.
So I guess now the question is, and I don't know if you have an answer to this, but I mean, what is, because things are really expensive in Nashville. That is most certainly true. So I think that we're all looking for a way to, and I'm a free market guy, of course, but what is the best way to try to lower rents in Nashville? I mean, is there a magic bullet, so to speak?
I don't believe there is a magic bullet because I feel like there's a caveat, right? Because you can say, okay, look, this area is going to be only affordable, and then, it could be at risk of turning into, an area where people don't want to live, right?
Yep.
And then there's the other side where they're like, okay, let's do all this construction and new development or tear down what the old and bring in the new. And we already know, if you even look at if you look across Nashville, right, even around the North Gulch area, 11th Avenue North, and those kind of areas, you'll see that the prices are skyrocketing and no one can afford them. And I feel like even now the Nations is at a place where there are still affordable options, right? There's still single-family dwellings where people can buy homes and they are affordable. So I think that as we tear down and as we rebuild and we don't try to preserve, I believe that it's going to be a place where no one can live, right?
Yep.
And we don't want an environment where, like, our police officers and our firefighters get priced out, right? The longstanding residents who have been born and raised in Nashville get pushed out. And I believe, from East Nashville, Bordeaux, Antioch, it's going to trickle out and just push people further and further out into the rural areas.
All right, Jayla, thank you very much. Great insight from you, and we'll keep an eye on this story. And I know this is not the last we're going to hear of this story. And again, appreciate you joining us. It is 7:52 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is open at 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's happening at 8?
Got the latest on those Democrat lawmakers in Texas that have gone missing. They've fled to Illinois, and we'll tell you why.
J.D. Pritzker is out there helping them. Did you know that?
He actually
J.D. Pritzker, the governor,
with them.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I've got that whole story coming up here.
Can I tell you something, though? And I said this on Friday, and I don't mean to step all over your tees, but this whole story just irritates the living daylights out of me. So why didn't, when they had the Democrats there in the state of Texas, they were at the state legislature, the Republicans and the Democrats were there, the governor, Greg Abbott, was there as well.
Yeah.
Why didn't they make a law right then and there with everybody there to say, listen, if you people bolt again, like you did last time, then we have a quorum with whatever the number of people in the state legislature is. Why would they not do that? Why are we begging for these idiots to come back to the state of Texas? Well, you know what? Let them stay in Illinois. It's a crap hole state.
Yeah.
Let them stay there.
Governor Greg Abbott thinks that he can fire them. I'm not sure that that's the right pursuit. But
that is absolutely the right pursuit, Joan. Nabbit.
Sure, but they've been elected, so that takes away voters' rights.
You know what? If they respond in such a jackassery way, then they deserve to get fired.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Dadgummit. From the mouth of Dan Mandis.
Dadgummit. I got to start throwing down the dadgummits because school is back in session now, Joan.
Yes.
So I've got to watch my